Hi guys, Puddin here with a video for you about captain builds and how I go along setting up my captain builds. Now, I did bring somebody with me, Mr. Sneaky Snake. If he wants to say hello, he can, because he's been saying hello this entire time.
Hi Puddin. Hey everybody. Sneaky Snake here, as always.
Now the reason both of us are here is because, you know, when people ask about captain builds, why you do this, why you do that, I thought it was important to show two different lines of thinking, you know, due to play styles, modules, ship, what you want the ship to do. Things like that all come into effect when you actually do pick out your captain skills. Ironically, the two ships that we both own, that we do have a different mindset and captain build, is actually Kurfürst and Minotaur. So we're going to go over just those two captain builds so you guys can get a little insight on our line of thinking for how we set up our ships, but primarily how we set up our captains for these ships. Now,
Puddin, just before you do get into the meat and potatoes, I would like to make sure everybody out there that is watching this is completely aware is that these builds are for random battles. This is not for clan battles. This is not for anything competitive, King of the Seas related. This is not for ranked battles. This is strictly for random battles, which you're going to, you know, play probably the majority of your games in random battles. So I just wanted to let that be known here before we start.
good point. That's the only reason I brought Sneaky, because he's fucking smarter than me, believe it or not. But the way we're going to break down the captain skills, or the way we're going to do this is through priority, like what we take first over the other skills in, per se, the line. So we're going to start at line 1. We're going to take the priority skill, then we'll move on to line 2, then we'll do priority skill, and then when we get to line 4 or tier 4, you know, we're going to be like, this is the one you take first, and then we're going to start going into where you go there, because that's usually where a lot of the division does come in, even though for the battleships there is a division at tier 1 between Sneaky and myself. But to get this going, so this isn't extremely long, is on my Kurfürst, my line of thinking is I'm going with a secondary build. This is the way I brought the captain up all the way from the beginning, wherever the hell I started, because I don't even remember where I started with this captain, but I'm bringing him up to be a secondary build. My modules, my flags, everything is set up for a captain with the secondary build. Now, as of, what is this, 0.7.4? Is it 5?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe so.
I thought 5 was coming out.
Yeah, you're okay. Yeah, it is.
So as of 0.7.4, this is how my captain is sitting, in case people watch this later. My first skill is priority target. What do you take, Sneaky?
For my first skill on pretty much all my BBs, but for the Kurfürst, I take preventive maintenance.
Now, like I said, there is our difference. The reason I take priority target is because 90% of the destroyer players out there, when they target you with their torpedoes, your priority target number doesn't show that. So, if my priority target, while I'm spotted, says 1, and I can't see anything, I obviously know it's a destroyer looking at me with his guns. When he drops it down, when that number drops to 0, it means he launched torps. What most DD players do is they'll target you with their guns, drop their torps, or target you with the torps, drop their torps, and then switch back to their guns. So your number goes from 1, 0, 1. Now, without even being able to spot that guy, I know if I stay on the course I'm going to get hit by torps if the guy followed the indicator and didn't adjust for me doing anything. So literally all I have to do is practically just wail on us and stop, and 9 times out of 10 those torps will sail by. But of course, you know, I do other little movements, but that is how I deal with torpedoes, and that's why I run priority target. Now, why do you take preventative maintenance, Sneaky?
Well, the reason is quite simple. I have a full gun build on my car first, i.e., not secondary spec, and preventive maintenance. Just the skill in a summary is it reduces the risk of your main turrets, your torpedo tubes, your steering gears, and your engine from becoming incapacitated by 30%. All of my damage, or excuse me, I should say, the vast majority of my damage comes from my main battery and my main battery alone. So all it does is reduce the risk of the turrets getting incapacitated.
All right. So now we're moving on to tier 2 perks. I go with expert marksman. Sneaky, what do you go with?
I do have two tier 2 skills, but the one that I get first and foremost is adrenaline rush.
Now, the reason I go with expert marksman over adrenaline rush is I did used to run adrenaline rush, but because I am, for lack of better terms, just so goddamn aggressive at times, for better or for worse, turret traverse has gotten me killed more than my guns weren't loaded. So, because I'm doing a lot of, I know this is going to laugh, but knife fighting at 7 kilometers on a battleship, but because I am getting so close and up into the action, turret traverse is more important to me than adrenaline rush. Now, I do run the reload module, so I get it a little bit there, but I know, I believe Sneaky does too, but that's kind of where I'm going with that because, you know, while this is about captain skills, you know, modules do kind of come into play a little bit here. But I go with expert marksman because I've been finding my turrets don't turn when I need them to turn, and I don't really want to turn the ship sometimes. Why do you go with adrenaline rush, Nikki?
Excuse me. So the reason why I go with adrenaline rush first, now again, I did say a little bit ago, I do have expert marksman on this guy, but right now we're just going over the first, second, third, and fourth skills that we would get. So i.e., what is your first tier 1, second, third, and fourth? Anyway, the reason why I go with adrenaline rush first is because since I'm not a secondary build, my focus is to stay at medium range. Now, to put it into perspective, I do have both concealment, the captain skill, and the equipment on my curve first. So it has a detectability range by sea of 13.6 kilometers, which at tier 10 is probably, I don't know, Puddin, I'd say that'd be on the lower end of mid-range combat because, you know, most ships can shoot well past 20. So my thinking is I'm not trying to get within secondary range. So since I'm all focused on the main battery guns, if I lose 20,000 hit points, for one, I still got 4/5 health, which is over 80,000. And my reload is already going to start going down to a considerable degree. I mean, you know, if we look at the modules here real quickly, the 420mm guns on this ship...
It's like 26 seconds with the module, I believe.
It's 28.2 with the 420s, but if you go with the 406mm guns, and again, this is before you take any damage whatsoever, you're at 25.5 seconds.
So, it's 28.
So adrenaline rush, if I lose 1/5 of my hit points, it's already kicking in a couple seconds off my reload. And that's why I feel that it's more comfortable. And then also the other reason, of course, is because since I'm at those medium-ish ranges, I'm not close enough to where my turret traverse is going to be a detriment in combat. Because if you don't take expert marksman, your turret traverse for the curve first is around 45 seconds. Whereas if you do have it, it's 39 flat. So... well, that's why.
You also bring up an interesting point. What guns do you use on your curve first?
I use the 420s. I like the little bit better penetration at range. It was, iChase did a video about it, and it came out that the 420s have a little bit better pen at range. And since I'm focused on a full gunboat build, that's why I like to run the 420s. For somebody like Puddin that runs a secondary build, a lot of players actually go with the 406s because it has a faster reload. So, you know, even though you're going to be turning your turrets a lot more, you're going to be shooting more rounds quicker.
Well, I mean, I think it's funny is you go with the 420s for pen, which I, you know what, if you did watch the video, the pen to me is minuscule. Like it doesn't matter. Either you penned it or you didn't. You may get a little bit less over pens with the 406s, but the reason I take the 420s is I prefer the alpha damage. That's the sole reason. Even with the secondary build and with all the fighting I do, I can't believe I'm gonna say this with sneaky here. I like to see the big shiny numbers. But I mean, when you get up close, there's a big difference between a 15K salvo and a 25K salvo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a huge difference, and that's the difference between 420s and 406s.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, the last thing we'll talk about it here, with main battery mod 3, 28.2 second reload on the 420s, 25.5 on the 406s. That's almost 3 seconds. That is an eternity when you're fighting at point blank range. I'm sure everybody out there has had that feeling where you're clicking that left mouse button as fast as you can, and you're like, come on, reload, 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 and then the other guy gets a shot off before you and kills you, and you're just like, well, dang it, But yeah.
But
anyway,
I mean, that's the other thing. I need to counteract the reload module, so that's where Expert Marksman comes into play.
Yep.
Now our tier 3 and perk, and like I said, we're doing this in orders of importance. So with Sneaky having 2, he doesn't get his Expert Marksman until he gets to tier 4. It's tier 4 perk. But my tier 3 is Basics of Survivability. What is your first pick at tier 3 if you're running 2? I'm assuming you are.
Yes. My first pick at tier 3 for virtually everything is Superintendent. Now, I don't want to sound condescending, but I take Superintendent on most of my ships because I know that for the most part, I'm going to stay alive long enough in a battle to be able to utilize all of the heals, all of the hydroacoustic in the case of the Kerfurst, and what's the other one? Spotting aircraft. So, you get your heal, your spotter, and your hydro. I feel comfortable enough, and I consider myself good enough of a player to be able to stay alive long enough to use all of those. Now, Basics of Survivability is a great choice for a BB because, well, obviously it reduces the time for flooding and all that. So that's not a bad pick as your first tier 3. Don't get Puddin wrong. That's totally fine. But I find more use for me on having that extra heal, on having that extra hydro, because I know that I'm going to be able to use it because I'm going to be able to stay alive longer in the game.
Now, see, I take Basics of Survival because, well, I am knife fighting getting so close. I don't want to burn forever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could counteract the fires with Superintendent, pretty much being able to use one of my heals a little bit more liberal, more often. But I don't want to sit here and kind of pull an old story up, but we compared stats one day, and Sneaky was actually quite surprised that I have a survivability of 51%. He's like, with the way you play, he goes, how? I just get it to work for me. It's just Basics because of all the goddamn HE. I just want to burn less. I'm already getting up close and personal, but it's for the most part, Basics is a staple for most of my battleships. There are a few exceptions, probably somewhere, but for the most part, I'm going Basics.
Now, one thing I will say is I also have Basics of Survivability on my Kerfurst as well. Again, that's just not my, if I woke up tomorrow and I had a fresh 19-point captain, how are you going to spec it? That wouldn't be the first tier 3 skill that I would take. Just so we're clear here, for anyone out there that still might be confused.
Now, the first tier 4, because this is where we're both going to have multiple, the first tier 4 perk I take on, well, everything. And when I say everything, I think the only exception may be a carrier, but everything else is concealment. I take concealment first.
And that's exactly how I am as well. As much as people have talked about it before, I've seen various complaints on Reddit, the forums, and whatnot. Concealment, 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 concealment is the, if not the most important, it's like right there as just it helps so much. I mean, you know, detectability range by sea, full concealment for a curve first is 13.6, and that's like one of the highest detection levels in the game, at least at the high tier bracket, tiers 8 through 10. And you might be thinking, well, what's the point of buffing it if your detection is already that crappy? Well, you know, the only really good answer I can give is those very early parts of the match where the ships are moving into position. It's nice to have a little extra concealment to be able to get to those spots, maybe undetected or whatnot, because if you don't run concealment on a curve first, your detection range by sea is going to be looking, 15, 16, 17 kilometers, and it makes it very difficult when you have a concealment rating that big to be able to take an educated guess on who's spotting you.
I'm
Because
gonna say,
it's so big.
I'm gonna say, just ask the first guy spotted how he feels about concealment. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, Sneaky's right. Concealment only matters at two stages of the game. Okay, you can make it work in the mid game. Okay, you can get concealment to work for your mid game, but really concealment is most valuable, most used is the start and at the end, late game, early game, because your concealment dictates where can you position your ship without getting spotted. Now, of course, anybody YOLO rushing to get the early spots on, he's charging just to spot everybody. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. But usually when you're going up against two semi-intelligent teams, sorry about that, it really dictates where can you position your ship, how fast you are going to get to the cap. I bring this up because hotspot. Any of the BBs that spawn in the middle of hotspot really have a choice. It's either go, what is it now, D or A. And that's because you're in the middle, you're going to get spotted first, and that's not what you want to be. If you're one of the guys on the side, hey, I spawned on D side. I'm sorry, guys, you want to go to A? Screw you, team. Either I got to go the real long way and then listen to everybody bitch and chat about me not being in the fight, or I got to cut through the open broadside to everybody. This is where concealment comes into play. It's dictating a little bit depending on map where you're going, and especially for battleships and even high visibility cruisers, where you go due to where you spawned. Where it comes in a late game is, man, all I got to do is run and hide. All I got to do is run, hide, live, we win.
Yep.
If you've got a 16-kilometer detection, there's battleships that are going to spot you first.
Yeah, you ain't running.
Your option at that point is, well, I can't run. I need to stand and fight. I have to pray to God these guys suck at aiming.
Hell, man, a Moskva with no camo and no concealment would still be able to outspot you at that kind of crap, so...
But, I mean, while we are looking at our curve first, a lot of this thinking goes into the ships that you pick, And like I said, concealment, every single ship I have, every single one, concealment first. Destroyers, cruisers, the battleships. The carriers are the only exception, but we're not going over carrier skills because none of us are really worthy, or Sneaky and myself are not the ones you want to talk to for carrier skills.
Especially me.
I will actually try to get somebody on if you guys are interested on how to properly set up a carrier. But if not, go to, what's the guy from Omni, Sneaky?
Farazellif.
He did a video. Go watch that. This is a guy who knows what he's talking about when it comes to carriers. Now, with that out of the way, the next set of points are going to, this is where freedom to choose comes into play. Like I said, our priority skills, mine are survival, or not, priority, expert marksman, basics of survivability, and then both of us concealment. That's what we take first. Sneaky goes preventative maintenance, adrenaline rush, superintendent, then concealment. Those are the first, and what we'll just call those are the core skills. The next skill I take is advanced fire training. Now, the reason I'm taking advanced fire training is I'm going secondary build. But number two, I'm pretty sure all of my battleships have this, is it does give me a bonus to AA. I do believe a lot of my cruisers also have advanced fire training for AA purposes. My 150 millimeter cruisers, with the exception of Kutuzov, because that is strictly an AA cruiser for me, I go with the IFAG. But, you know, I mean, like I said, we're trying to give you guys our line of thinking to help you do this. And like I said, we're picking two ships and going from there. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that we're explaining transfers over to even the cruisers. What cruiser you're taking, what's your goal with the cruiser, you know, what are your modules, you know, a lot of that stuff will transfer over. At least our line of, you know, the line of thinking does. What do you go with your freedom? You know, what's your next skill you would take?
The next skill for me, I decided to go with manual fire control. And
manual what?
Manual fire control for AA. And the reason why that I do that is because, again, I'm not getting in close enough to use the secondaries. So while AFT would be viable because it does increase the range of the secondaries and the AA, assuming that they're dual purpose, I like the manual fire control because I'm staying a little bit more standoffish. So if the carrier wants to strike me, chances are he's probably going to have to come through some friendlies that are in front of me first, so going through other people's AA bubbles. And then, of course, if you look at the actual DPS value of the 128s, it's 124 with the setup that I have. But, of course, you can double that when you click on a squadron that you want your AA to focus on, your long range, that is. So instead of 124, it's now going to be 248 with a range of 6.2. The medium range have 195 DPS at 6 kilometers. So my 128 and my 55 millimeters are kind of almost overlapping, and I'm going to get double the benefit out of the 128s. Now, it must be mentioned that I pretty much have only played the Kurfürst in a division where the guy was using a carrier, our buddy 3FM, but I haven't found a need to take it off because the Kurfürst with manual fire control, it does shoot down a lot of planes really quickly. Now, you might be thinking, well, you know, if you didn't go with manual fire control, or let's say you wanted to put AFT on it as well, you'd have to sacrifice something, right? Well, then I'd probably have to get rid of concealment, which I don't want to do, because obviously the less concealment that you have, the worse off you are. Or I'd have to get rid of some of my survivability skills. And that's also kind of counterintuitive because you're a battleship. You want to be able to tank damage. So that's why I decided just to stick with manual fire control. And for me, it works out pretty nicely.
But, I mean, Sneaky brings up a good point because I'm going with AFT. And, you know, I mean, everybody's looking at my screen. Sorry. You know, so it's not like, oh, gee, surprise, I wonder what he picks last. There's a lot of skills I gave up to get manual secondaries. You know, and the reason I do manual secondaries last is because, like I said, you're working this captain up the line. Manual secondaries really don't come into play until you get to tier 8. While you get benefits at the mid and lower tiers, your real benefit is your tier 8 ships. Your tier 8 ships is usually when you're going to start running consumables or premium consumables. You're going to start burning through flags, at least for me. So, you know, the most bang for my buck is the last thing I need to get is manual secondaries. And geez, I wonder why I'm getting manual secondaries. Surprise, surprise. I'm going with the secondary build. You know, now I'm sure people are going, geez, Puddin, that only adds up to 18, dumbass. Learn how to do your math.
Rip.
That one last point is whatever. I don't care. It to me it's where am I going to put this thing? A lot of the tier 1 perks are just not incentive enough for me to really even care. But obviously, going secondary build, I'm going with manual secondaries. What is your next pick?
For mine, it's basics of survivability. Now, of course, Puddin said that that is his go-to tier 3 skill for his battleship. For me, it is the second one. And again, the reason why is I feel comfortable enough about my skill as a player to not die early into a game, where I'm going to be able to utilize more of my heals. So now getting basics of survivability makes me even harder to kill. And I still have the benefit of having that extra heal. So for me and him, again, it's just switched around. But
Now, just remember, Sneaky said he gets basic so he can flood for a lot less, which means he won't hit his R button.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
I get a
that's the
flood,
worst
I'm
thing.
fucking wailing on R as fast as I goddamn can.
Yeah, and that's the worst. That's the worst thing for a battleship player is to get a flooding. That's probably the most dangerous, thing that can happen to you, where you're going to be bleeding HP very quickly.
But I have 1 point left over, and I'm like, well, I really, preventative maintenance to me would kind of just was I'm not picking expert marks, or was it? No, I'm not taking expert loader because just shoot what you have, and like prior to you shooting, you can just hit like the 1 key if you need to switch to HE for whatever reason. But whenever you're switching ammo types, you can switch by hitting the 1 key 1 time, and that will trigger for the next time you shoot. It's gonna load It's gonna load that ammo choice. So even for some of my cruisers, I will do it that way. Just fire what I have in my barrels, and then the next one, like the first one's going to be the incorrect ammo type. I'll deal with low damage. The second salvo is going to be what I actually want. So that's why I just like expert loader on a battleship, but with the exception of the Republic, to me is a wasted skill. Everything else is a freaking joke. Like, I don't care who's shooting me at long range. Pay attention to the map, and usually I'm pushing anyways. So I went with an extra plane because I go fighter planes, so that kind of gives me 2 fighter planes. I don't like spotter plane. I've gotten a little bit better. I just prefer fighter. This one skill point is a personal preference thing. If you want preventative maintenance, it's not a bad perk. If you want expert loader, I'll debate it all day, but it's still not a bad perk. It's just I'm treating the 1 perk like you're the 1 point like I got to dump it on something. What do you go with next, Sneaky?
Then after that, I'll be sitting at 17 out of 19, so then my last 2 goes into expert marksman. And I know Puddin said it earlier that he uses that as his first. I like the extra reload with adrenaline rush because I trust myself enough to be able to stay alive to use the faster rate of fire. And then, staying at those medium ranges, expert marksman isn't as big of a deal. But, looking at all the other tier 2 skills, jack of all trades, maybe. Just get that repair back faster. High alert also is a maybe, but again, if you were ever to take high alert, you'd probably want it on a more tanky build anyway, because you're going to be hitting that R button quite a bit, so you want it to come back as fast. Smoke doesn't apply, torpedo acceleration doesn't apply.
Your hydro does apply for your jack of all trades.
Yeah, and that's why jack of all trades isn't a bad idea. Actually, for my French BB captain, I do have jack of all trades instead of expert marksman. But again, we're not talking about that, so whatever.
Well, I mean, it's good to talk about it because you point out little differences.
Well, yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, because, I mean, like, this is my staple captain for my German ships. This is how, I mean, this exact build is Bismarck, Frederick, Kurfürst. Well, with the exception of the Bismarck, and that's because that guy goes into the turrets, where preventative maintenance actually comes into play with torpedo tubes. But, I mean, like I said, this is my staple for my Germans. For Sneaky, this is like his staple for battleships in general. There will always be those exceptions. This is kind of my exceptions, but I play my Kurfürst a lot more than anything else. Second is Montana. You know, those are the battleships I enjoy playing. But like I said, some of the modules, line of thinking, come into play. Like, really line of thinking. I mean, you can ask Sneaky. I usually tell Sneaky, follow me. Follow
Hmm.
me. You know, come in behind, follow me. Unless he's in a destroyer, then I'm fucking screaming at him. God damn it, stop fucking sitting behind me, douchebag.
No, that's a lie. That's just a lie. But nice try.
Oh, I'll still yell at you for your fucking Hindenburg. Oh, I think hydro. Why? You're fucking behind me. I'll spot the torpedoes first. What the fuck good is your hydro? Bring defensive fire. Trust me, this is the debate that we actually do have quite often. But I mean, just an example. Sneaky, follow me. It doesn't matter what he's in. Follow me. You know, to where he goes, okay, I'll follow you. You know, I'm not sitting there trying to give Sneaky quick jabs, but, the old saying, lead, follow, or get the fuck out of the way. I'd rather lead.
Well, Puddin's the aggressive type. I'm the passive aggressive type, so it works. We make it work. I think
Yeah,
we've been playing boats for over 2 years. We make it work pretty well, I'd say.
what I'm saying, what I'm saying is, like, when I tell Sneaky to follow me, he knows I'm about to do something stupid and I'm going to need help.
Yeah, but at least you survive more than half the time.
Probably because I told you I need help. But, I mean, this is the thing. So, like, if Sneaky's fighting something else and I go, hey, man, follow me, he knows, I'm in trouble. And
Yep.
we're going to make the push. And I'm going to go take all the damage. Whether I live or die, I'm going to go first. So everything is focused on me while Sneaky kills everything. It's usually what happens unless my secondaries come into play. And the reason I go with secondaries is for the fire damage. Because usually we're not playing two battleships at the same time. So there's that. Now that we've kind of gone over a battleship, I thought it would be kind of nice to go over maybe a cruiser. And, I'm thinking my skills are more specialized. Like, this is a specialized build. While Sneaky's is more of a general build. Because a lot of his skills transfer over to the rest of the battleships in the game.
Yep.
But now we're actually going to take a look at the Minotaur, which is kind of a situational ship to begin with anyways. So, these are going to be two different specialized builds per se. Because a lot of these skills won't transfer over to other ships. But you can see our line of thinking when we're looking at like a niche or a specialized ship. Some of these skills are going to transfer over to other cruisers, some are not. But my line of thinking, just so everybody knows before we get into this, is I'm setting this guy up to be an AA boat. Primarily, this gets pulled out when I'm in a three-man div with the one, the only, the greatest CV player, 3FM. I will pull this thing out if somebody else is going battleship or destroyer. Like, if somebody else is going to bring the AA cruiser, I will bring AA something else. But this is usually when I get this guy. Now, I will take this once in a while out in randoms for whatever. Like, if I need to get ribbons. Well, I mean, this is a ribbon maker. But this is more or less specialized in AA. Sneaky, what was your line of thinking when you set up your Minotaur, Captain? Before we get into the skills.
It was just a natural progression from the Neptune, because obviously the Neptune has really good long-range AA, so it's a little bit less of an AA skilled boat. The chief difference that Puddin and I are going to have is over one captain's skill choice and one equipment choice, but we'll get to that as we go about it, so go ahead, Puddin.
But, I mean, like Sneaky said, this is what, you know, like, I'm going specialized AA -1 skill. Which, you know, we'll talk about that. But Sneaky's like, this is a natural progression. And Sneaky's kind of like, you know what, I might as well take advantage of his AA. But I believe what he's trying to say that he failed is, this is a DPM monster. I'm going DPM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the reason I say this is because we're going to get to that when we get to our one little difference. Now, my first one is priority target because, well,
it's a cruiser. If you don't take priority target as a cruiser, well, uninstall, please.
You're a Minotaur. You're spotted. Yeah. I guarantee you one battleship is going to be looking at you. Like, one is going to try to take a shot.
Oh, man, the good old days of
you know, so it's full... I use this loosely, but you're spotted. It's full fucking panic mode. Like, oh, shit. What the hell is spotting me? What's going on? I better start doing evasion tactics now.
And it's also fun to see how many ships are aiming at you. And, you know, sometimes when that number gets when that number gets up to 9 or 10, you're just sitting there going...
Why don't you have 12?
112? Yeah.
I had 12 people look at me once. Okay. I think 10 of them shot at me. Now, pretty much priority target for a cruiser is how big of a crap you just took in your pants. Because trust me, if it's one, you're like, it's only one guy. Well, maybe the battleship that will delete you. Trust me, when you get up to 10, you're in full, like, the pants can't hold all this shit that just came out of me.
Yep.
Now, obviously there's no, you know, real, you know, we both picked the same thing. My second one is actually going to be, and like I said, this was working up from the, you know, the whole tech tree line. I actually went with a bigger smoke cloud. What is this? Smoke screen expert, which gives my smoke screens a plus 20% to how big they are. The reason I went with this first is because usually I'm divvied up with somebody and we're going to share smoke. So believe it or not, I was in a game with Spider. You know, we were both running Minotaur. Sneaky was in something else, or we were with somebody else. And I hit my smoke screen, and Spider was like, oh my god, I can't believe that got me. It gives me a little bit more room to maneuver. It gives the enemy a little less guesstimation on where I'm at because it's actually a bigger cloud. I can actually fit another ally in with me and comfortably maneuver around. What is your first pick at tier 2?
I go with Jack of all trades. The reason why is because I have the Jack Dunkirk captain for my Minotaur. For those of you that don't know, I mean, I'm not sure how many wouldn't, but there's captains in game that have bonuses to various captain skills. You know, they're specialized captains, so to speak. For the purposes of Jack Dunkirk, it was kind of intended to put in a British light cruiser. So it gives you bonuses to 3 different tier 2 skills. The first one is Smokescreen Expert. Instead of plus 20, it's plus 30. So Puddin going with Smokescreen Expert is totally a great idea. If you had Jack Dunkirk, it would be even bigger. The second one is Expert Marksman, but those turrets are mechanized and they turn so fast that it doesn't really matter, but it's still nice. Then the third one is Jack of all trades. Usual Jack of all trades is minus 5% to your consumables. Jack of all trades for Jack of Dunkirk is minus 10%. Now, something very tiny to note is that if you go to the exterior of the ship, you go to your signal flags, and you put on the November Foxtrot, that reduces that by another 5%. So now you have a 15% reduction to the amount of time that it takes your consumables to come back.
Which one is it?
It's November Foxtrot. It's the bottom. It's the bottom
Okay,
left.
yeah,
Yep.
5%. Well, I'm doing it now so everybody can see.
Yeah.
Then I
So,
only have one flag on my Minotaur.
so, because the Minotaur is so darn fragile, you need to get your repair back as soon as possible. And for the purposes of being offensive with the Minotaur, it'll get your smoke and your hydro. The smoke, chiefly, of course, being your one line of defense to staying away from shells, unless you get radared. Or if you really want to be that guy, you can drop the smoke and toss on the radar. But still, you're going to get that radar back a lot quicker. So, Jack of all trades is a fantastic perk for British light cruisers.
Now, I mean, everybody can see that I went full douchebag with with Dunkirk and threw him in my Conqueror.
Ooh, 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 Puddin. Nice.
Now, the next tier 3, I'm going to assume we probably both went the same thing. Superintendent.
Yes.
More
Superintendent
smokes,
is-
more heals. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Unless you're on the receiving end, then we're assholes.
Yep.
I mean, there's enough said there. A lot of my cruisers, I will actually take Superintendent. More defensive fire, more radar, more, or as I like to call it, more screw you DD or screw you carrier. Hydro, defensive fire, more staying power with heals, especially for the higher tiers. Well, you can't get that with the running premium consumables. Well, guess what? Instead of having 3, now I have 4.
Yep.
More is better than less when it comes to cruisers. I wonder... Oh, goddamn. Zath, I'm busy. Yes, that's when Zath needs me. I'm gonna go off on a limb and say we both took concealment as our first tier 4 perk.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Once again, all of our ships, concealment. It's a staple across everything except for carriers. Until they rework the carriers, and then I bet you everybody takes concealment first. Anyways. Now that we've got our core skills, comes to the branch off. This is probably where we're going to differentiate. The next skill I'm going to get, and you know what? I think it's funny that both of us choose our next skill to get is a tier 4 perk again. But this is just how important I really think AFT is, because a lot of our stuff has AFT. Because it does buff secondaries, but more importantly because it really does give that buff to carriers, even though they're kind of non-existent per se. It's better to have and not need than to need it and not have it. But Minotaur, I'm setting up for AA. AFT, that puts my AA out to an astounding... let me look at this real quick. My long-range AA is 8.6 kilometers. All my mid-range, which is where a lot of this DPM comes into, is 7.2 kilometers. What do you go with your next skill points?
I actually go with AFT. We're going to differ on the next skill. We still both go with AFT for our 11 to 14 point captain skill. So now we're both sitting at 14 out of 19. This is when we're going to differ coming up.
The next skills that I'm saving up for is basic fire training. More DPM.
Yep.
And this is DPM to all of my AA, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so
That is correct.
I'm going more AA. Now, before we get into why we differentiate here, I want more DPM. But as you saw a little bit earlier, and we're seeing now, I'm running AA Guns Modification 2, which is another 20% to AA. I believe Sneak is probably running this too.
The equipment?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, the third equipment slot, AA Guns Modification 2, absolutely.
This is where we differentiate. This is the different line of thinking. Sneaky's thinking DPM. I wonder what DPM means. He went with reload. for his final slot. I want AA Guns Modification 3. This bumps up all of my AA by another 25%. And if I was smart and threw on the flag, I would get more use, which I probably should do. Sorry about the cough, but one modification changes what Sneaky's next perk is going to be, which is...
And my next one is manual fire control for secondary mounts. So again...
For secondary mounts or for AA mounts?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, hello. I don't go with I don't go with a secondary build on my Curfers. I go with an AA, so I take manual AA. But I go fucking secondaries on Minotaur, people.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say manual fire control for AA armament. Again, it doubles your AA DPS on guns of 85 millimeters or above. Now, this captain would really be the most effective in the Neptune because the Neptune has 2 different AA mounts that are over 85 millimeters of caliber. However, the Minotaur still has 10 152 millimeters that count as long-range AA. And because you have a range of 8.6 kilometers, if you go with AA Guns Mod 2 and AFT, the reason why having manual fire control is so nice is that you get 260 DPS that stretches out to 8.6 kilometers. Back in the day, 7.2 was the gold number for long-range AA. When the Minotaur came into the game, it kind of redefined what long-range strong AA really is. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's random battles or it's competitive or whatever. This is one of the most terrifying AA ships in the game. And being able to stretch out that much DPS with your long range to that kind of distance is something that any carrier player, it doesn't matter how good you are, you can't forget about it. You can't not take notice of it.
Just so everybody understands how manual AA works. So it actually works different than manual secondaries. Manual secondaries, you have to click on a ship for your secondaries to shoot. They will not shoot unless you click on a ship. And, of course, it's got to be within range. Mm-hmm. With manual AA, you don't have to click on a plane to get your long-range AA to shoot. The minute you do click on planes, is when manual AA comes into effect. So, usually, most AA, the manual really comes into effect for the long range AA. Most mid range falls below this. Mm-hmm. Which is why the Germans are so good with manual, because a lot of their AA is actually stacked into long range. A lot of the Minotaur's AA is mid range, where you're not getting this bonus from manual. But just so you understand, you have to click to get this DPM damage. If you are not very, very proactive with your AA using this, you're not going to get your bonus. Sometimes with a lot of the stuff going on around me, I don't have time to click on planes. Which means, you know, like if he sends everything in at once, I don't have to click on each squadron all the time for it to keep dying. While clicking on planes without having manual will give you a slight bonus, it does help to do that. I don't have to do that to get any sort of big bonus to my damage, to where Sneaky really, really has to be clicking on every single squadron to get these bonuses. Usually what this is going to turn out to be is, I can be lazy, Sneaky cannot. I can sit there and pretty much tell 3, yeah, bring the planes over. I'll click on one fighter squadron prior to him locking it up, and my AA will still shoot like the bombers, the torp planes, and have all the bonuses, even though I prioritized one of them. My AA will still shoot everything, to where manual, you're going to actually prioritize that one to get the bonus. You have to be a little bit more proactive, and usually what happens is once that fighter squadron dies, I really don't have to click on anything again to be getting a big bonus. All my bonuses, they're already in effect. They're already coming into play. Oh shit. I'm sorry about that, guys. Now, like I said, I mean, because, that's why I go with basics. Now, my last 2 points are in Jack of all trades for, well, I can get my smoke and my hydro back faster. Uh, I mean, I believe you've already taken this one, Sneaky. It's the same reason. It's just,
Hmm.
you know what? I'm already running premium consumables, which means I'm getting stuff back sooner. This just helps me get it back even sooner.
Hmm.
What do you
Uh,
go with your last skill point?
my very last skill point, so my 18 out of 19. The last one I'll go with is preventative maintenance. Again, Puddin goes fully focused on AA. I want to still be able to utilize the insane DPM that the Minotaur has, so I want to keep my turrets in action. Um, these things don't really get knocked out all that much, but as an extra precaution, it's not a bad idea to have it on. So that's why I decided to do that, because 10 of these guns, if you get one turret knocked out and you only have 8, it really does matter.
I'm surprised you don't take expert loader.
Well, I was going to actually make a joke about that.
I beat
I
you to
thought,
it!
yeah, I thought about it. I'd pick expert loader because I switched to, oh yeah, that's right, no HE lol. I thought about trying to make a joke out of that, but I wanted to keep it more professional.
But, like, some of the reason I picked these two ships is because it showcases, one, different lines of thinking, but more importantly, when I sit there and go in chat or in the comment section and go, it's just too costly. Look at everything Sneaky has to give up to get manual AA. He's running 3 tier 4 perks to where I'm running 2. And the same thing goes for the Curvers. Look at everything I have to give up just to get manual secondaries. Because if I didn't have to take manual secondaries, of course I'm taking Superintendent, more Hydro, more Eel. Especially with the aggressive as I am, that would benefit me. I'd be able to get adrenaline rush. But, you know, this is the reason I picked these two ships, is because when we say it's just too costly for Minotaur, I'd have to give up, I probably would actually give up bigger smoke cloud, just because getting consumable back is better. But like I said, I did this from the onslaught, or from the very beginning. The lower tiers, shit takes forever to come back anyways. So having a bigger smoke cloud is better, especially considering when I did do this, Captain Smoke firing was a thing. And there's no reason to change it at the higher tiers, because usually I'm divvied up with somebody. You know, I can fit more of my division in my smoke. It's a good thing. But I'd have to give that up. I'd have to give up basic fire training, which Sneaky doesn't have. Because there's no way I'm giving up Superintendent. You know, just to get manual AA. You know, the other thing is, Sneaky's only allowed to run one tier 2 perk. One tier 3 perk. I'm able to run 2. You know, like I said, a lot of the tier 1 perks, the first one you take is, that's the one you want. The second thought is, I've got to spend a point on something, so I'm, I've already got what I really wanted from tier 1. You know, most of the time when you're dealing with 1 point left over, you're just looking at something not to be completely useless, but you just don't care about it. At least that's my line of thinking. What is your line of thinking when it comes to having to spend that one last tier point, and you're like, well, what do I spend this on?
I usually just go for the safe pick with preventative maintenance, because that's generally the one that, like, conventional wisdom, that's what, that's the safe pick. So.
But I mean, just say you went with the secondary build on your car first, because I know you did try it out. If you remember, what was your other tier 1 perk you went with?
Probably direction center for catapult fighters, so you get an extra aircraft, so that when your hydroacoustic is down, you still have the quote-unquote fake hydroacoustic active. You know, your planes will still be able to spot. You know, when your hydro's done. So.
Well, don't need to make this video any longer than it needs to be.
I think we failed at that.
Well, no, because we could still keep going. I mean, we could talk about a Kaba build, because concealment is far superior than this light cruiser bullshit. But, you know, I mean, honestly, if we were going to do a third ship, it'd be a Z-52, because I do believe we went with different builds, or a gearing, because gearings are different. Our gearings are different builds. Stinky goes more gun, I go more torpedoes. But I think, for the most part, you guys get to see our line of thinking on what skills we're taking, what we're taking first, why we're taking these things. A lot of the skills we both just take because, well, they're good skills. There's good skills, and then there's bad skills. Like, none of us took emergency takeoff, because why? It only works on a carrier. Neither one of us took survivability expert for battleship or cruiser. Why? Because there's better tier 3 perks. You know, on our DDs, I believe we do take them, because it actually allows you to eat that one torpedo that completely caught you off guard and still be in the game and relevant. You know, but, you know, with all that, I hope you guys at least enjoyed the insight into our line of thinking about what we do with our ships, our captain builds. Sorry about that. I know we touched a little bit in the modules, but you know what? That comes into play on captain builds. You got to take all of this stuff into account when you're building your captain. If he's going to be a dedicated captain, if he's going to be a specialized dedicated captain, if he's working up the line, some of the skills early won't translate or aren't going to be as effective as they are for the higher tier guys, but you're taking it because you want this to be for your, you know, for the end game ship. I'd like to thank Sneaky for helping me out with this. For those of you who do not know, Sneaky, you are going where for, what, about a month?
We're going to Europe. I mentioned it in my last video. I'm going on a big old Europe trip.
I didn't watch your video because lack of dinosaurs and explosions. Well, there wasn't a lack of explosions, but there was a significant lack of dinosaurs, okay?
Yeah.
I would like to thank Sneaky for helping me with this. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. We do appreciate all the support you guys do give us. Please send in your replays. We do love seeing them, even though I don't really comment on them. I do watch them. I do enjoy watching them. The email for that is in the description down below. Please remember to compliment good teamwork, good team play. We are quick to report, slow to compliment. And on that note, guys, please hit the like and subscribe button and have yourselves one heck of a great